Lisa Edwards was a disabled woman. She had been using a wheelchair for mobility for more than 4 years. We cannot understand the rest of her story without knowing this. She needed that wheelchair. Maybe not 100% of the time. She, like many wheelchair users, including me, might have been able to walk a bit in some situations. She might also, like me, have had to pay for walking in fatigue and pain and suffering. She may also have lost whatever ability she'd had to walk when fatigued or stressed. So many people who really should understand this one thing don't. Not all wheelchair users are paralyzed. But Lisa was, at least, partially hemiplegic. Her left arm and leg were seriously impaired. This can be seen in the video. What then is Lisa Edwards' story? She left an assisted living facility in Rhode Island on February 4th to move back to Knoxville with a friend. Her brother said that there was a problem with the airline, violating the Air Carriers Access Act by claiming that she could not fly because she could not walk. So she was 6 to 8 hours late getting into Knoxville, and by that time her arranged ride had left. She also became ill during the flight and was taken by ambulance to Blount County Hospital without her personal wheelchair. At Blount County, she was seen and then went by taxi to Fort Sanders Regional Medical Center. She stayed overnight at Fort Sanders and was released the next morning, a Sunday, before 7 a.m., still without her personal wheelchair. It appears that Fort Sanders has no protocol or procedure for releasing people who need wheelchairs and are at the hospital without them. I've called several times to ask for the correct procedure for this situation, and they have refused to answer. They've not even afforded me the courtesy of a callback to say that they have no procedure. I even went so far as to contact the Joint Commission, their accreditation organization, to ask what the standard procedure for this situation should be. They too have refused to answer emails and several phone calls. Even though this happens frequently, after all, EMS and ambulances usually don't bring mobility devices along. There is no correct procedure for it. I've chatted with several people who work at hospitals who say that their facility might provide a taxi voucher for someone in that situation. This, of course, may not help, since most taxi drivers are not going to help the person into their house or go inside and get their personal wheelchair for them, much less go to the airport and retrieve their personal wheelchair from unclaimed baggage. With no correct procedure to follow, hospital personnel pushed Lisa outside on this cold morning, wearing scrubs, in one of the hospital's wheelchairs, and told her to leave. It boggles the mind to try to figure out how they expected her to do that. Crawl? They then called the Knoxville police to file a trespass complaint against her when she couldn't leave. By the time the body cam footage starts, Lisa has already been failed by the airline, Blount County Hospital, Fort Sanders Regional Medical Center, and by JCO, because they never bothered to create a procedure for this all too common situation. But it's the body cam footage that's in many ways the heart of the matter. The police put an already sick woman under stress until she died in custody without ever receiving the help that she begged for more than 50 times in that video, using the word please at least 93 times. But let's be clear, mainstream media is not covering this because the police killed a disabled person. That happens all the time. Estimates are that 1/3 to 1/2 of all police-involved killings are disabled people. This is getting covered in the mainstream media because so many people are outraged by the body cam footage of her arrest by KPD. But now you know there are apologists for the police out there. The Knoxville News Sentinel has an article blaming Lisa's death on compassion fatigue. Many believe that KPD released the body cam footage expecting reactions just like that. "Aw, poor police officers, so compassion fatigue," that 4 of them taunted, mocked, and abused Lisa as she lay dying, begging for help on the pavement outside Fort Sanders that cold Sunday morning. So sad that they couldn't go get their coffee and oatmeal rather than spending their time killing her. That narrative, like the police officers' actions, is truly disgusting. Does it take compassion to treat people with dignity and respect, especially when all they're offering you is respect? Lisa, even though she was dying and knew she was dying, called them sir and spoke to them with the utmost respect. The airline, both hospitals, they're at fault. Had the airline not violated the Air Carriers Access Act, as they so often do, by refusing her on the first flight, she'd have had someone meet her in Knoxville and not been alone. Had either hospital correctly identified the incipient stroke, she'd probably be alive today. Had either hospital taken the time and effort to reunite her with her personal wheelchair, she'd at least have had the means to avoid an arrest for trespassing. But the police bear the greatest share of blame. They had the option to call a CAC van, a van with a lift. They could have called the airline and gotten her personal wheelchair back. They could have, and most certainly should have, noticed what most all of those who have viewed the body cam footage have, that she couldn't breathe, that she was turning gray, that she couldn't do what they kept ordering her to do. How do you fake turning gray? So the police and hospitals and airlines need more compassion. No. Oh, well, yes, they do, but that's not going to solve this problem. Depending upon compassion is like depending upon charity. It's too easy to deny charity and compassion. You think they might be able to work if they really wanted to, so no charity for them. You think they might be faking it, so no compassion. What we need is respect. Just like Aretha said, R.E.S.P.E.C.T. We are disabled and proud, and we're not going to settle for charity and compassion. We want rights and respect.